"That uniform looks fake." That's what he said. At 7:45 in the morning, at a gas station, in broad daylight, the man wearing that uniform didn't flinch, because he'd worn one like it for 23 years. This is the story of Commander Marcus Reed, and the moment his life nearly shattered over disbelief. October 14th started like any other morning. Marcus woke up before sunrise. Same routine, same discipline. He ironed his uniform slowly, sharp creases, perfect lines. He polished his shoes until they reflected the light like glass. He stood in front of the mirror and nodded once. Pride, not loud pride, quiet pride, the kind you earn. Marcus Reed wasn't just Navy. He was United States Navy Aviation Command. Rank? Commander. That meant responsibility. Pilots, crews, lives. He'd flown missions most people only see in movies. He'd buried friends. He'd carried medals heavy with memory. And that morning, none of it would matter. Marcus lived simply. No mansion, no sports car, just a modest house near the base and a dependable sedan. His fuel gauge was low, almost empty. There was a gas station 5 miles away, one he'd stopped at dozens of times. Familiar faces, friendly nods. At exactly 7:45 a.m., Marcus pulled in. The sky glowed orange and gold, the kind of morning that feels harmless. He stepped out of the car. His uniform was flawless. Wings on his chest caught the sunlight. Name tag clear as day. Reed. Everything was normal, until it wasn't. Police cruiser rolled into the lot. Nothing unusual. Officers stopped there all the time. Marcus didn't even look up. But the car didn't park at a pump. Didn't park at all. It stopped. Hard. Crooked. The door swung open. Out stepped Officer Daniel Cross. White. Mid-40s. Jaw tight. Body camera blinking red. Recording everything. Cross didn't head for the store. Didn't stretch. He walked straight toward Marcus. Purposeful. Focused. Marcus felt it before he saw it. That feeling. That stare on your back. Cross stopped 3 feet away. Looked Marcus up and down. Shoes. Pants. Uniform. Face. Studying him like a problem. Then he spoke. "That uniform looks strange." Marcus blinked once. "I'm a commander in the U.S. Navy Aviation Program." Cross squinted. "You saying you're really Navy?" "Yes." "How long?" 23 years. Cross smirked. "People buy these online." Marcus calmly pointed. "My name and rank are right there." He reached for his military ID. Cross didn't look. Didn't take it. He'd already decided. The questions kept coming. "Where did you get it? Why does it look new? How can you afford this?" They weren't questions. They were accusations wrapped in doubt. Cross never raised his voice. He didn't need to. He used that tone. That coded tone. The one that says, "I don't believe someone like you belongs here." Marcus stayed calm. He always did. Training drilled that into him. But calm doesn't stop humiliation. People started watching. A woman 2 pumps over slowed down. A young man exiting the store stopped. Phones came out. Marcus finished pumping gas. Placed the nozzle back. He was ready to leave. Cross stepped closer. "You're not going anywhere." Marcus frowned. "Am I being detained?" "You're acting suspicious." "Suspicious? For existing? For impersonating an officer," Cross said. Marcus felt it then. The shift. The danger. Cross's hand moved. Toward his cuffs. 23 years of service. Hundreds of missions. And now this. Marcus spoke slowly. "May I make a phone call?" Cross hesitated. Then nodded. 2 minutes. That decision changed everything. Marcus pulled out his phone. Hand steady. He didn't call his wife. Didn't call family. He dialed one number. A direct line. Rear Admiral Stephen Hale. His superior. One of the highest-ranking officers in naval aviation. The phone rang twice. Marcus explained. Quick. Clear. Location. Officer name. What was happening? The response was immediate. "Stay where you are," Hale said. "I'm on my way." Cross watched. Unbothered. He assumed Marcus was bluffing. He had no idea what was coming. 6 minutes later, 3 black sedans entered the lot. Fast. Precise. They blocked the exits. Doors opened. Men stepped out. These weren't patrol officers. Stars on their shoulders made that clear. Leading them, Rear Admiral Hale himself. The gas station went silent. Cross's face drained of color. His hand dropped from the cuffs. Confidence evaporated. Hale walked straight to Cross, introduced himself. Full title, no emotion. Then he pointed. That is Commander Marcus Reed. He listed the medals, the missions, the service. Cross tried to speak, stumbled. I had to be careful. Hale cut him off. Did you verify his credentials? Silence. Did you check his ID? Nothing. Did you contact anyone? Cross stared at the ground. The answer was clear. Phones were everywhere now. Recording. History forming. Hale made one more call. To the police chief. 15 minutes later, 2 more cruisers arrived. This time, they weren't for Marcus. Cross was disarmed. Badge removed. Handcuffs clicked shut. The same cuffs meant for Marcus. Karma doesn't rush, but it arrives. Marcus stood beside Hale. No smile. No victory. Just sadness. Hale placed a hand on his shoulder. No words needed. The crowd watched. Some nodded. Some cried. The Bodycam kept rolling. And when that footage hit the internet, everything changed. But here's the part no one talks about. Marcus was lucky. He had rank. He had power. He had someone to call. Most people don't. And that's where the story really begins. Because once the video went viral, others came forward. And what they revealed made this incident look small. The video didn't creep online. It exploded. Millions of views in hours. Then tens of millions. By nightfall, every screen in America was showing the same thing. A decorated black Navy commander accused of being fake. Cornered. Humiliated. Nearly arrested. People watched Officer Daniel Cross question the uniform. Question the medals. Question the right to exist. And they felt something break. The comments came first. Anger. Shock. Disbelief. How does this still happen? Imagine if he didn't make that call. How many didn't? Veterans flooded the feed. Men and women who served, who bled, who lost pieces of themselves. They told their own stories, stopped on bases, questioned in airports, accused in parking lots, uniforms doubted, service dismissed. One comment went viral on its own. He had rank. I didn't, and they didn't let me call anyone. That's when people realized this wasn't an incident. It was a pattern. Within 24 hours, the police department issued a statement. Short, careful, cold. We are aware of the video. We are conducting an internal review. We take these matters seriously. No apology, no accountability, no mention of Commander Reed. But the public wasn't satisfied. And neither was the Navy. Rear Admiral Hale spoke next. Not on social media, not in a tweet, at a press conference. Uniform on, medals visible. This was a failure, he said. Not of one man, but of judgment. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't need to. Every word landed heavy. Then he said something that made headlines coast to coast. If Commander Reed were not who he is, this would have ended very differently. That sentence haunted people, because everyone knew it was true. Officer Cross was placed on administrative leave, with pay. That detail mattered. The internet noticed. Protests formed outside the department. Signs held high. Chants growing louder. Verify before you vilify. That became the phrase. Hashtags followed. Hashtag check the ID, hashtag believe the uniform, hashtag not just one. Then the calls started. Not to the police, to Commander Reed. Journalists, producers, advocacy groups. Everyone wanted him. He said no. Again and again. Marcus Reed didn't want fame. He wanted sleep. But sleep didn't come, because the video followed him everywhere. Gas stations, parking lots, grocery stores. People stared. Some thanked him. Some apologized. Some cried. And some asked the question that made his chest tighten. Why didn't they believe you? Marcus didn't have an answer. 3 days later, a reporter uncovered something strange. Officer Cross had been named in complaints before. Not criminal. Not violent, but familiar. Unprofessional conduct. Unnecessary escalation. Failure to verify identity. All closed. All internal. All forgotten. Until now. That's when the dam broke. Emails leaked. Screenshots. Internal memos. Officers joking about fake uniforms. Training slides labeled common impersonation tactics. One slide stood out. It showed photos, real uniforms, real insignia. The caption read, "Do not assume legitimacy based on appearance." The intent was safety. The result was suspicion. Weaponized suspicion. Civil rights groups stepped in. Formal complaints filed. The Department of Justice took notice. Quietly, behind the scenes. Because when federal agencies start asking questions, things get serious. Commander Reed was contacted, asked to give a statement. He agreed, not for himself, but because of the messages he'd been getting. From people who didn't have rank, didn't have medals, didn't have a number to call. Then something unexpected happened. A former officer reached out. Anonymous. They asked for a meeting. Private. No cameras. What they said made Marcus go silent. They claimed the department had an unofficial list. Officers. Incidents. Complaints. Names that were problems. Not criminals, but patterns. The officer said Cross wasn't new to the list. He was familiar. And worse, he wasn't alone. The source warned him, "This goes deeper than you think." They described a culture where questioning people like Marcus was encouraged. Not explicitly, but quietly, through training language, through peer approval, through silence. "Be careful," the source said. "Once you expose this, they don't let go." Marcus felt it then. The weight. This wasn't just about one morning at a gas station. This was about a system that had been operating unchecked. The DOJ scheduled a preliminary review. Not public, yet, but news leaked anyway. Headlines shifted. Federal oversight possible. Pattern of bias under review. Officer Cross's lawyer spoke next. They claimed Cross was following procedure. That phrase ignited fury, because if that was procedure, what else was being done? Marcus sat at home that night. Lights off, TV muted. The uniform hung in the closet. Pressed. Perfect. He hadn't worn it since. His phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. No greeting. No name. Just one sentence. "You should stop before this gets worse." Then another message arrived. This one included a photo. Grainy. Taken from a distance. Marcus, standing outside his house. The timestamp was recent. Very recent. His heart dropped. Because this wasn't online anymore. It was personal. Marcus locked the doors. Checked the windows. Called Rear Admiral Hale. One sentence explained everything. Hale didn't hesitate. "Do not ignore this," he said. "Because if they're watching you, they're afraid. And fear makes people dangerous." By morning, the DOJ review became official. Subpoenas prepared. Internal documents requested. Officer histories. Training manuals. Complaint logs. The department went silent. Too silent. And silence once again said everything. Because buried in those records was something no one expected. A file. Flagged. Restricted. Labeled. Uniform credibility incidents. And Commander Marcus Reed's name wasn't the only one inside. The file was never supposed to leave the building. No email trail. No digital copy. No paper record anyone could request. It lived on a closed server, behind layers of permission, hidden in plain sight, and it had a name. Uniform credibility incidents. When the DOJ subpoena landed, panic followed. Meetings. Emergency calls. Lawyers everywhere. Because the list wasn't short. It wasn't recent. It was years old. Investigators expected a handful of cases. Maybe 10. Maybe 20. They got hundreds. Every entry followed the same pattern. Date. Location. Officer name. Subject questioned legitimacy. No crime. No arrest. Just doubt. The first names were military. Active duty. Reserves. Veterans. Men and women stopped at gas stations, parking lots, airports, uniforms questioned, IDs delayed, humiliation documented. Most cases ended the same way. Resolved on scene. That phrase did a lot of work. Then came the civilian cases. Security guards, EMTs, transit workers, people in uniform who didn't look right. Too young, too old, too black, too confident, or not confident enough. One entry stopped investigators cold. A 19-year-old ROTC cadet pulled over on his way to class. Uniform folded neatly in the passenger seat. The officer accused him of theft, detained him for 2 hours, released without charges. The note read, "Subject emotional. Reaction noted. No apology." Another case, a woman in Air Force blues, stopped at a grocery store. An officer demanded proof. She complied. The officer still detained her until a superior arrived. Why? Her demeanor seemed rehearsed. The list kept going. And then the analysts noticed something else. A column, hidden, not meant for external eyes. Outcome risk, low, medium, high. Commander Reed's case, marked high, because of rank, because of connections, because someone had miscalculated. But most cases were labeled low. Low risk, meaning no one would believe them, no one would escalate, no one would call a rear admiral. The DOJ flagged Officer Daniel Cross's name. It appeared 7 times. Not once. 7. Different locations. Different uniforms. Same outcome. No discipline. No retraining. Just movement. That's when investigators realized the truth. This wasn't misconduct. It was standardized suspicion. Taught, tracked, protected, and hidden behind procedure. The DOJ prepared a report. Drafted language carefully. This wasn't just a department problem. It hinted at a national issue, a framework, a mindset, a belief that certain people needed to be challenged harder, even without cause. Before the report could be finalized, someone leaked it. Not the whole thing, just enough. A screenshot, the list title, a few names, one redacted summary paragraph. It hit social media at midnight. By morning, America was furious. Veterans organizations went public. This is institutional betrayal. Civil rights leaders called it profiling in uniform. Lawmakers demanded hearings. Subpoenas multiplied. And then, something unexpected happened. Another officer came forward. Active duty, still inside. They didn't leak documents. They sent a warning. This list is only the surface. They claimed there was a second file. Older, more restricted. Not about uniforms. About behavior after confrontation. What happened when someone questioned authority. What officers were allowed to do to maintain control. The file had a name too. And the officer said it quietly, like it could hear them. Escalation compliance. The DOJ asked for it. The department refused. Said it didn't exist. Said the officer was mistaken. But the whistleblower insisted. They had seen it. They had trained on it. And they knew what was inside. Commander Reed was asked to testify. Publicly, he hesitated. Not because he was afraid. Because of what it would unleash. The DOJ told him the truth. If this goes forward, there's no going back. Marcus agreed. The hearing date was set. Cameras booked. Witnesses lined up. The department lawyered up. And then, the whistleblower disappeared. No contact. No response. Phone dead. Email silent. Their last message arrived 2 minutes before midnight. It was a single sentence. They found out I talked. By morning, the hearing was still scheduled. But now, no one knew who would testify, or who would stay silent. Because if the second file existed, could destroy careers, departments, reputations. And if it didn't, someone had just risked everything for a lie. The doors to Congress opened. Cameras rolled. Seats filled. And one empty chair at the witness table said more than words ever could. The cameras were already rolling when the doors opened. Congress was packed. Lawmakers, press, veterans in dress uniforms, families sitting stiff in the gallery, and one empty chair, right at the center, the whistleblower's seat. Chairwoman Ellis struck the gavel. This hearing will come to order. Her eyes drifted just for a moment to the empty space. Everyone noticed. Commander Marcus Reed sat upright, dress blues flawless, medals aligned perfectly, but his jaw was tight, because he knew something the room didn't. This hearing wasn't about him. He was just the door. The opening statements were calm. Too calm. Department representatives spoke first. Carefully worded phrases. Isolated incidents. Procedural misunderstandings. Commitment to improvement. They denied the existence of any second file. Denied any sanctioned escalation guidance. Denied everything. Then Chairwoman Ellis leaned forward. "Commander Reed," she said, "please describe what happened to you." The room went silent. Marcus didn't raise his voice. He didn't dramatize. He told it exactly as it happened. The gas station. The questions. The doubt. The handcuffs coming out. The moment he realized proof didn't matter. Then he paused and said something no one expected. "I wasn't afraid for my freedom," he said. "I was afraid of what would have happened if I hadn't known who to call." That line hit hard. The gallery shifted. A woman wiped her eyes. A veteran nodded slowly. One lawmaker stopped taking notes. Marcus continued. "I complied. I stayed calm. I followed every instruction." He looked directly at the panel. "And I was still treated as a threat." Chairwoman Ellis asked the question everyone had been waiting for. "Commander Reed, do you believe this was a mistake? Or part of a pattern?" Marcus didn't answer immediately. He reached into his folder, pulled out a document. "I was contacted," he said. "After my case went public." He explained the anonymous messages, the references to a list, the warning, and then he said the name. Escalation compliance. The room exploded. Objections shouted. Lawyers stood. Microphones buzzed. The department's lead counsel demanded the statement be struck. Ellis raised her gavel. "Order." She turned back to Marcus. "Do you have proof this file exists?" Marcus hesitated, just long enough to scare everyone. "I didn't," he said. A ripple of disappointment swept the room. "Until yesterday." He slid a flash drive across the table. Gasped. Photographers surged forward. The department lawyers froze. Ellis stared at the drive like it was radioactive. "Where did this come from?" she asked. Marcus swallowed. "The whistleblower." According to Marcus, the message arrived at dawn. No explanation. No greeting. Just coordinates. A locker. A bus station. 2 hours away. Inside. The drive. Ellis ordered a recess. Security locked the doors. The drive was taken into evidence. Tech experts rushed in. And the room waited. 30 minutes felt like hours. Whispers filled the chamber. Then Ellis returned. Her face had changed. No color. No softness. "The committee has reviewed a portion of the material," she said, her voice steady, her hands shaking. "What we saw raises serious concerns." She paused. "We are suspending this hearing pending verification." The department exhaled. Too early. Ellis added one more line. "The file appears to outline approved escalation pathways for encounters deemed non-compliant in perception." The words landed heavy. She wasn't done. "These guidelines include language about maintaining dominance and correcting narrative control." Silence. Pure silence. Before anyone could speak, a staffer rushed to Ellis's side, whispered urgently. Ellis's eyes widened. She looked back at Marcus. "Commander Reed," she said slowly, "are you aware that this drive also contains incident video?" Marcus felt his chest tighten. "No," he said. Ellis swallowed. "There is footage," she continued, "tagged as a training exemplar." She paused. "And you are in it." The room erupted. Marcus stood halfway out of his chair. "That's impossible," he said. "I was never shown any video." Ellis looked him dead in the eye. "This footage," she said, "was recorded after your release." The implication hung in the air. Someone had followed him. Someone had documented him. Someone had turned his humiliation into a lesson. Ellis closed her folder. "This committee will reconvene after full authentication." She struck the gavel. "This hearing is adjourned." As people poured out, phones buzzed. Headlines drafted themselves. But Marcus didn't move, because one question pounded in his head. If his case was used as training, What exactly were they teaching? The video leaked at 2:17 a.m. No warning, no explanation, just a link. By sunrise, it was everywhere. Phones buzzing, news alerts screaming, comment sections on fire, because the footage wasn't grainy. It wasn't distant. It was clean, labeled, annotated. Training Module 7B, narrative control during high-risk civilian encounters. Commander Marcus Reed watched it alone. Lights off, uniform still on. He didn't blink. The video began after the gas station incident. That's what broke him. Not the confrontation, not the cuffs. What came after? The camera followed him from a distance. Unmarked vehicle, long lens. He exited the station, checked his phone, stood still for a moment, and on screen, text appeared. Subject exhibits delayed compliance behaviors. Marcus felt his stomach drop. The footage paused. A voiceover started. Calm, clinical. This phase is critical, the narrator said. Subjects often attempt narrative reconstruction once public exposure is avoided. Marcus whispered, "They followed me." The video resumed. Marcus drove away. Cut to another angle. Still him, still unaware. Note posture shift. The caption read, "Subject attempts to reassert dignity." The clip froze again. Red circles appeared. Highlights, arrows, his shoulders, his jaw, his eyes. They dissected him. This is when authority must be reinforced, the narrator continued. Even without direct engagement, Marcus shut the laptop, then opened it again, because he had to know. The next section was worse. Case comparison examples. Dozens of clips. Men, women, different cities. Same structure, same language. Wheelchairs, canes, uniforms, medals, different lives. Same framing. Subject claims disability. Subject claims rank. Subject resists narrative alignment. Marcus wasn't special. He was just another slide. By mid-morning, Congress reconvened. No cameras allowed inside. But leaks didn't stop. They multiplied. Chairwoman Ellis held the room hostage. "This was not training," she said coldly. "This was conditioning." Experts confirmed it. The footage had timestamps, server logs, authorization keys, high-level clearance. Someone had approved it. Someone senior. The department tried to pivot. They claimed rogue contractors, outdated materials, misinterpretation. Ellis cut them off. "This video includes post-incident surveillance," she said. "That is not training. That is monitoring." Silence. Then came the question that changed everything. Who authorized the follow-up footage on Commander Reed? No one answered. Marcus sat in a private room nearby, hands clenched, breathing slow, because something else had happened, something no one else knew yet. While the hearing resumed, Marcus received a message. Unknown number. One sentence. "You weren't supposed to see Part C." His heart slammed. He typed back, "What is Part C?" 3 dots appeared, disappeared. Then, a file came through, larger than the rest, encrypted. Before he could open it, another message. "If this plays publicly, they will deny it exists. If you play it privately, they'll know it was you." Marcus stared at the screen. This wasn't exposure anymore. This was a trap. Across town, Ellis was handed a note. Her face drained. She stood abruptly. "The committee has just been informed," she said. "That additional material exists." Her voice lowered. "And it has not been secured." Phones buzzed again. Security shifted. Doors locked. Marcus stood up. Because the file name was clear now. Too clear. Module 7C. Failure response. And under it, a subtitle. When narrative control is lost. Marcus hovered over the file, heart pounding, because whatever was inside, it wasn't about the past. It was about what happens next. Marcus Reed didn't open the file right away. He sat, alone, breathing, because some truths don't explode. They sink. Outside the hearing room, aides whispered. Phones buzzed. Security doubled. Inside, lawmakers argued in hushed tones about jurisdiction, clearance, exposure, everyone afraid of the same thing. Proof. Marcus finally pressed play. No music, no graphics, just a single line of text. Module 7C. Failure response when narrative control is lost. Then a voice, older, gravelly, not a narrator, an instructor. When a subject becomes credible, the voice said, "Containment replaces confrontation." Marcus felt cold. The video showed a timeline, step by step. Not arrests, not violence, isolation, media fatigue, character doubt, administrative drag. Delay is the tool, the instructor said. Time erodes outrage. Examples followed. Cases that felt familiar, names blurred, but outcomes clear. Lawsuits settled quietly. Investigations closed inconclusively. Subjects relocated, silenced, forgotten. Marcus understood. They didn't need force. They needed patience. The final slide appeared. No explanation, just a directive. When exposure exceeds tolerance, the system will protect itself. Marcus closed the file, not in fear, in clarity. Across the hall, Chairwoman Ellis ended the session. Not with anger, with resolve. "This committee will release what it can," she said, "and we will document what we cannot." She looked straight into the cameras. So history remembers who chose silence. The next morning, the statement dropped. Not dramatic, measured, legal. ICE acknowledged systemic failures. Training modules were suspended. Leadership resigned. No names named. No criminal charges announced. The public reaction was quiet, tired. People shared the clips, then moved on. As systems count on, Marcus returned to his life. Same uniform, same base, same gas station, different awareness. Reporters called. He declined, not because he was afraid, but because he understood now. Truth doesn't always change systems. Sometimes it just exposes them. Months later, a revised training manual leaked. Soft language, new phrasing, different words, same structure. Ellis retired. She wrote one final line in her closing memo. Oversight works only when someone is watching. The instructor from the video, never identified, never questioned, never denied. Marcus kept the file, encrypted, unshared. A reminder, because the story didn't end with justice. It ended with knowledge. And knowledge is dangerous. The camera didn't save him. It showed him. And sometimes, that's all the system allows.